Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for everyone for being here. Okay, first order of business is public comment. There is a pad at the end of the table. If you are going to speak, please put your name and address. And comments will be limited to the items on the agenda. Why is that? Just so we can keep the order of business flowing. Is that going to be the usual for the meetings? I think it might, if it works, we'll see how it works tonight. And we'll, is there a reason for the change at this time? I just wanted to see how it flows and keeps us focused on our business. You want to limit public comment? Is that the point of this? Well, public comment should be pertaining to the business at hand. Why? It's never been that way before. I just want to know why the change and why now? Well, I was looking at some of the other meetings that were held, like the school Amity does it, so I figured we'd give it a shot and see how it works. I know one of your meetings, I think a couple of your meetings. That was a special meeting, not a regular meeting. Okay, well, that's all right. Okay, so that's, you want to bring up public comment, right? Well, no, anybody's welcome to speak as long as it's pertaining to the items on the agenda. Right, but it's a change, and I'm just acknowledging that you're changing. You've acknowledged it. And for the record, I just want to be clear that you do not have authority to limit my speech. I'm an elected official, and you do not have authority to limit my speech. You are a member of the board. Yes. You are not, it is public comment. No, I'm talking about what happened at the last meeting when you tried to prevent me from speaking very clearly and quite aggressively. And I'm just saying that I'm not going to let that happen. And I'd like to ask our attorneys whether or not you have the authority to do that.
An individual at a public meeting does not have an unfettered person.
That's not my question. Did you hear my question?
Your question was whether or not you could be shut down on and limited to what you are talking about. I am a public elected official who Paula tried to not allow me to comment even for 2 seconds on her introduction to the last meeting. And I want to know if I have the right to comment on her introduction to a meeting. You do not have an absolute right. I didn't ask that. Yes, you did.
I didn't say I did. That's not.
You do not have the right to speak out of order. It is up to the chair of the body to keep the orderly flow of business.
So you're saying.
And so if it's a decision of the chair and it's within the decision that you're not acting within order, then that is the right of the chair. And if you want to appeal that decision, you have the right to appeal it.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
So you're saying that if Paula opens a meeting and has an introductory opening statement to the meeting that I find to be misleading at best, I am not allowed to comment. I'm not allowed to correct the record as an elected official.
Items of discussion should be limited to those.
But her item, it didn't say Paula's gonna, no, I'm just saying, Paula didn't, on the agenda, it didn't say Paula's gonna provide an introductory statement to the meeting. That was not on the agenda. We just called to order and we start to conduct business. I understand. I'm asking for clarification on my role and what you think my role is.
Your role is a selectman.
Okay,
Selectwoman.
right.
Sorry.
Right, whatever you want to call it. So her opening statement was not on the agenda. And you're saying that she can do that, but I can't comment
The chair
or
has,
correct the record.
the chair has certain prerogatives and discretions. As a member of the board, you're limited to operating within the orders of the agenda.
So if she gives an opening statement, I'm not allowed to comment, is that what you're saying? I'm not allowed to correct the record? She's providing an opening statement.
Was it regarding something on the agenda?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No, you were there then.
Listen.
I mean, I'll
many
finish. We
things
can
I
move
say?
on. We can move on. I know Paula wants to move on, and I just want to say that this is the reason why people in town do not see you as a town attorney. They see you as Paula's attorney. And this is another example of that, because it's very clear that as an elected official, I have the right to respond to something that.
You do not have the right.
No,
Like you don't have the right to act outside of what the statute provides, you
Well,
disagree
then
with
she
me on
doesn't
that.
either then.
But
Then she doesn't either.
my point is, you disagree with me on everything.
Yeah, your point is that Paula can say whatever she wants, whether it's on the agenda, and I cannot unless it's on the
I
agenda.
did not say that.
That's what you're saying.
No, it's not. What I said.
That's what you're saying.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay, Council.
Thank you.
I
It's
just
very
try to
clear.
stay to the order of business. That is my
Right.
goal, is to stay to the order of business. on the
Mine as
agenda.
well. That's my goal as well.
Well, we have a tendency to disagree on things.
We do.
I think we had a couple of people signing up on the, public comment. I don't know who signed up first. If you want to go in the order, that's there. I don't know who's on there first.
I'm
Thank you.
Okay,
Eric, 1315 Coastal Lane. I recognize there are a lot of different things going on in town, but we need to make sure that we capture all the things that are going on in town. At board meetings on 6th, April 2nd, and June 4th, there was an agenda item to create or reactivate the solid waste committee. Each of these meetings, it was put on hold since it never got continued on. It is actually should be part of the agenda because it was to be put on as soon as the recycle center was, that was resolved. There is a treasure trove of data that is available both at the recycle center and finance. Members of Standing with Bethany, as well as leaders in the community, have gone through this data, done a deep review on it, and made some observations about the state of our recycle center.
Eric, I'll take into account what you said about the committee, but that is not on our agenda tonight.
It should be on your agenda
It should
because it
I
was,
understand.
it should have been continued from each individual thing, and it wasn't
Okay.
put on ever.
We will put that back on the agenda. But as it is not on tonight, and the agenda does note that tonight's public comment refers to items on the agenda. I will make note of that and we will put it back on. If you want to talk to me during the week, we can follow up on it, okay?
And I just want to apologize to you because he actually reached out to me and asked about this issue. And I said, well, it's a regular meeting, so there's public comment, so you can come and make your comment. So I apologize to you. I didn't know that we were.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't approach me beforehand, so.
You know, we do need some clarity on how we are progressing, because budget season is coming up,
Mhm.
and we haven't done anything on this for a year.
Okay.
And we need to finish up on it. We need to do something so that we know what's going on.
Well, maybe you could stay because the item may get added to the agenda tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny, can you see who's next on the list?
Catherine Sylvester.
I'll be happy to go last. Last?
Yeah, on the last.
Okay, who's next?
Caroline Beard.
Caroline Leary, 21 Grant Road. I request that my comment be added to the official record of tonight's meeting, and this is regarding number 2 on this evening's agenda, approval of the minutes for September 3rd meeting. There are questions that I had asked. My public comment is documented as pages 8 through 15, and those questions still have not been answered. I am requesting a formal response to the town. Number 1, upon learning that there was a DCF investigation as well as a criminal investigation by CSP, why didn't the first selectman immediately place Mastrangelo on administrative leave, revoke his access, and prohibit him from returning as typical concerning town employees across Connecticut in similar situations? Number 2, upon notification of Mastrangelo's, oh my God, I'm getting so nervous, sorry. Upon notification of Mastrangelo's first arrest on May 24th, why didn't the first selectman immediately inform the public? Why did all of Bethany learn of it on the evening news a month later? Understanding town attorney Vincent Marino was not informed of the Mastrangelo matter by the first selectman until May 2024. What was the obligation of Mr. Marino to advise the first selectman to take action to notify the public as soon as he found out in May of 2024? I also have an amendment to the public comment that I made on September 3rd's meeting minutes, page 9. Paula allegedly refused to allow cameras to be installed. It has also been stated that cameras have not been installed because some kind of delay receiving grant money. What is the truth? I would like it noted for the official record that the chairman of the Board of Finance confirmed on September 18th that there was absolutely no delay in grant funds that would have prevented the cameras from being installed at that time in question. Lastly, the independent investigator reviewing the who's going to be hired within the scope of work. I would like to know if included in that will be his or her review of the town of Bethany meeting minutes, such as Board of Selectmen, Parks and Rec Commission, and Board of Finance meeting minutes from 2021 through present day as part of their scope of work. Thank you. Who's taking minutes?
I'll take it down.
Yeah, take them all.
Who's next on your?
Amy Lichinsky? Before I speak to public comment, someone on the chat texted me that on the Zoom that the chat features turned off, so people on the Zoom are not able to chat amongst themselves. I don't know if that's a problem or not. Amy Listinsky, 140 High Road. Left the wrong people on the chair, so I'm just walk that, thanks. I know that tonight's agenda states public comment is limited to those items only on the agenda, so I will stick to that. With regards to item 1A on the agenda this evening, our first selectwoman should be ashamed that she's put a limit on public comment. This is an attempt to stifle the community, not giving residents a chance to speak freely, limiting their freedom of speech. It is absurd to think that listing this agenda item in this manner would actually quiet those of us that want to be heard. This was done to make sure the topic of the crisis in town and her lack of action were not brought up again, but yet here I am speaking about it. With regards to item 2E on the agenda this evening, it was deplorable to see how our first selectwoman acted at the special Board of Selectmen's meeting on September 19th. She was rude and disrespectful to her fellow selectman, Gina Texera. Her actions at that meeting show her disregard for this town and its residents. She stated at that meeting, "We have moved on." That is ludicrous. She wants this crisis to be over. She doesn't like it when her lack of action and her inability to lead are spoken about. As a parent of a victim, I have not moved on, and I will not move on anytime soon. What has occurred to my child and the other victims is real and raw, and it will live with us forever. With regard to item 13A on the agenda this evening, why are we past the retainer amount? Why does our town attorney need more money? The agenda states it is due to the Master Anvil matter, and why is that? Maybe if our first selectwoman had taken action for the sake of her town back in December 2022, things today would not be as bad as they are. However, this is not the case. There are still questions that remain unanswered, and the more time that goes on, the more we see how incapable our first selectwoman is as a leader in general. As many times as our first selectwoman has stated she will not resign, I will be here stating that she should. She is not a leader, and she has failed us all. And I'll pass you my comments so they can be put on record. Thank you, Ms. Lichinsky. There's 3 copies there. No, I mean, that's fine. Good job. Good try. Good try.
I'd just like to point out, you said that Amity Board of Education, they only allow public comment based on their agenda. Bethany Board of Education allows any open comment. So Bethany, this is Bethany, they are Bethany as well. With regards to agenda item 13, at numerous regular Board of Selectmen meetings, as well as the continuously needed special meetings we all attend, our town attorney has attended as well as his counterpart. They've both been asked repeatedly if we are being billed for both of them attending, and they repeatedly say it's included in their monthly retainer the town pays. Has anyone actually explored their bills and tracked the hourly charges as well as the hours they claim that are included in their retainer? We as a town deserve to know just how much they're being paid, especially as the agenda item tonight includes them wanting another $75,000 for legal defense beyond the retainer. They have nothing left to do with the Mastrangelo case, as he is now being prosecuted by the state, unless of course the town has finally realized that our first selectman made drastic errors in her job and allowed the continued molestation of children under her watch. But if that was the case, she should be responsible for her own legal fees and not having the town foot the bill for her grotesque mishandling of the situation. Her negligence continues with each passing day she's in office, and again, we will all say, Paul's gotta go.
Marianne Alexson and
This is Mary Ann and Daniela.
Daniela.
We'll wait till item number 9 if needed to address any further information.
Public comment is now.
I have no comment.
Okay.
right, and then is Julianne Nugent. I didn't write out
which items this is related to, but I do feel like it's pretty relevant. I'm Jillian Nugent. I live at 53 Miller Road. And as many of you already know, I'm a former employee of the Park and Rec Department in Bethany, and I've lived in this town as long as I can remember. The past few months have opened my eyes to flaws I did not realize our little town had. When I think about the events that have shaken us, I cannot help but feel some guilt for not doing more sooner to prevent an alleged pedophile from having access to and harming children. What I don't understand is how Paula Francesco did know when Anthony Mastrangelo was let go from BCS that there was a matter concerning the safety of children. Yet she did nothing to protect the children in our town. We know she moved him to administrative duties, but we also know that he still would have had access to children, and he did. Paula, how do you feel no empathy for the families affected by your actions? Perhaps if you had apologized for your missteps and not pushed them onto other teachers, your own town would have been more apt to forgive. But how can we forgive when you have not even admitted to some fault? You want to move on, to stop discussing the matter, but moving forward would actually require closure, truth, and reconciliation. You've prevented the town from this in your staunch denial of wrongdoing, and that is a true shame. Regarding your proclaimed unbiased approach toward the employment of your own family members, you have yet to allow a discussion about Anthony Francesco, though it has been prompted at both a Board of Selectmen's meeting and a Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Regardless of whether or not you believe he had any part to play in the events that caused harm to the children under his care, right now there are no programs that would require his services. Even if you do get Bethany hoops or cooking classes going, there's no reason the director you are planning to hire could not take care of those, or a part-time employee. As I understand it, Anthony is being paid his full salary while at home, when the interim director, who was tasked with an insanely demanding job, was not even made a full-time employee. When looking at the structure of neighboring towns' park and rec departments, it would seem that assistant director positions are reserved for towns 3 to 6 plus times the size of Bethany. And even then, these towns often employ part-timers to run specific programs. Perhaps this would be a good model for our town going forward, and I hope the Board of Selectmen and the Park and Rec Commission will consider it. Especially regarding the upcoming independent investigation. Paula, it is never too late to do the right thing. Though you can't change the past, you could at least do the town right in being honest.
Bethany, you wanna go?
Yeah.
And we have a raised hand, Jamie Sterling.
Okay. Jamie after Catherine, okay.
I'm Catherine Sylvester. I live at 55 Old Amity Road. You all see me here a lot. I'm registered voters. I'm pretty active in town. I went to the Roback conference recently with Jan Loomis, the other registered voters. Roback is an organization of registered voters. We have conferences twice a year. It's a great group. We're very supportive. We go through changes in law and policy and things to do about how to make elections better, make sure we all follow the rules. It's a friendly group. They do a lot of things that encourage us to get together and meet other registers of voters. Registered voters in our state have had a turnover of about 50% for a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to go into here. But you know, like I say, it's a friendly group. And you usually introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I'm Catherine, I'm from Bethany." And usually people go, "Oh, Bethany, where's that?" And we joke, "Oh, we're not Bethel, we're not Bethlehem, we're Bethany, you know, a little farm country." This time it was different. This time it was, "Oh, Bethany. Oh, we've heard about you. We're so sorry for your kids. What the hell happened there?" I heard that more than once. I heard that, "What the hell is wrong with your first select woman?" And you know what I said? Not my fault. I've been pretty adamant about how incompetent she's been in our town for 5.5 years now.
Catherine,
are you
related to
I'm
something on
related
the
to,
agenda?
it's absolutely related to at least
Okay.
5 different points in the agenda between, and I don't have to repeat them for you because you understand. You're just trying to avoid hearing the truth from people in our community. By the way, this attempt to limit the agenda, it also limits us bringing up important things to our town, like what's going to happen with Rocky Court. But don't distract me further. I also, on my professional bios, I'm registered towns in Bethany. I've had clients, criminal defense clients, some of whom are accused of crimes similar to Mr. Mastrangelo, say to me, "Oh, Bethany, what the hell's wrong with Bethany? I saw it on the news." Okay. My husband and I go to a concert at Toads a couple weeks ago, standing there talking to another couple about our age, you know, they're late 50s, early 60s, from Southington. They go, "Oh, Bethany, what's going on in Bethany? I would never buy a house in Bethany because we can't run a Parks and Rec program. We can't watch out for our children because we choose bad leadership." So I want you all to think, all the people who continue to support Paula, think about who you nominate. Think about having a capable candidate. This is a smart town. We have a lot of people who have executive skills, who come to this town with executive responsibilities, who know leadership. Who, by the way, pay attention to training programs, and I know they participated because although I'm not a town employee and I refuse to do it, my colleague Jan Loomis is doing it. So I'm hearing all the conversations they have about sexual harassment and proper recording requirements and what you do when there's an incident in town, and how it's your obligation when you know somebody's being hurt to go to your supervisor and report that and do something, and not just sit silently by, like we're all gonna be paying a lot of money for shortly. Our insurance company's not gonna cover it. So I don't care, Mr. Attorney, what you're telling us, because there are two types of attorneys. There are attorneys who fix problems, and there are attorneys that allow their clients to fail so they make more money. And I think we know where you fall. All right, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your statements. This is the majority of our town. And I want to tell the victims out there, we believe you. The people in this town believe you. Just because our first select woman unfortunately goes around and tells people that there's only one victim, or that we don't believe them, or little girls make up stories, that's not true. We believe the victims, we believe the parents, and we stand behind you. I'm disgusted. Thank you.
Jamie?
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So I'm going to take a slightly different tact. I'm going to address items 1A and item 16. I want you to know that I had a taste of local honey recently that came from Eric Friedan's bees. He was the first speaker in public comment tonight. As co-chair of Sustainable Bethany, I'm delighted to hear that Sustainable Bethany will be able to make a report on next month's Board of Selectmen agenda, because they've done tremendous work in reviewing our trash and recycling contracts and costs. And I think that you'll find that there's a lot of opportunities, not only to save money, but to do environmentally correct things. So that's my comment on Eric's comments on item 1A. On item 16, I know you all, it's adjournment. When you get to adjournment tonight, I know that you will all have done more work than you expected. You have a difficult agenda, and working together is sometimes fraught and difficult. I can see that. I just want to thank especially the unpaid selectmen for all the extra work that they're doing. And thank you all for serving. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I don't see any other hands, I believe. No. Lena, was there anyone else on the list, or was that it? That would be it. That's it? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes. The first minutes are from the July 31, 2024 special meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
The July 31st,
Yes.
I move to approve.
Okay, and Bob?
Second motion.
Okay. I know that you had to back and forth with Jen to clarify on those, so they should be all.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're accurate as written now.
Okay, all right, I know she had been back and forth with
Yeah.
the clarification on
Yeah.
that. So, oops. All right, hearing no other comments or questions on the minutes for July 31st, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, next are minutes for August 6th, regular meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
I have some questions about,
Okay, well, let's move in
So
second, then we
moved
can
and
discuss.
second, and we'll
Yeah,
discuss.
what is this?
the move in second, and then we can discuss.
So we're making a motion to discuss the minutes? Is that?
Well,
yeah,
you put,
right.
we have.
Okay,
Gotta put on the
okay.
table. So-
I'm just asking for clarification.
So,
So move and.
Bob moved and Gina second. Okay,
Seconds.
now, do you have corrections or comments?
Yeah, I have, I noticed, and thank you, what, did you do the minutes?
Yes, I did.
I thank you, because I noticed that there were some corrections, but
Yeah.
I thought that I would be getting this in Word format, like Jen sent hers, so I was sort of expecting to get them to be able to comment, and there was sort of, let me just show you where it is. Well, I never got the, yeah, I did get the red line for the July 31st, but not for the 6th.
Let's
Right.
look at those minutes, right?
I
Yeah.
did. I was my understanding, Gina, from the last meeting, that the only item
that you had issue with was the motion to amend the agenda.
Right, and that's what that, yeah,
And that was because you had, that was my understanding from the last meeting, that was the only issue you had with that set of minutes. It was the way I had put in,
broken down the vote for that.
yeah, I had labeled the adjustment to the amendment to the agenda. So
No,
that,
no, my recollection of that meeting is that I had other items, but because it was taking so long, I was told I would get a Word version, so I could.
Oh, I thought that wasn't my understanding for those minutes. I thought it was the July 31st.
that was my understanding as well.
I definitely didn't say that that was my only item on the
The
minutes.
easiest thing to do.
We'll just say this.
Sure, yeah.
And I will send you the
You-
Word
you-
version.
You want that, I mean, that would be good, but just so you know, on page. I think it's on page 4.
Send.
You want me to just send you I just want some clarification on, on this paragraph here, Selectman Texera, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
There's.
Okay,
We were talking about.
I'll send you the Word
I
version.
just want to say, we were talking about a proposal to possibly hire someone to make recommendations in town, and I agreed with Bob that was premature to do that. And then at some point, I just watched the video of this meeting because I really wanted to be careful. And, it's sort of misleading the way, and I know it's hard to take minutes, like I hate doing it myself, but, the way it reads here, it's just like out of the blue, I call for the shutting down of the park program, and there's a lot of context to why I said that. And I'd like to just insert that if you don't, if it's okay.
All
Okay,
right, so we'll put a vote to postpone. All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. The September 3rd regular meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Okay, and second.
Second.
Okay, and any comments, questions, or corrections for the September 3rd minutes?
I had a couple,
Okay.
under item 7,
We're not second, but third. Seven. Okay.
third line from the bottom of that paragraph. There's a sentence, once given to the town, it could take about 4 weeks to find. I think there's a different word that's supposed to be there instead of find. Finalize maybe?
Okay, yep. Yeah. We can make that correction.
The next item, item 8. The first sentence, Attorney Marino advised cover letters went out to the list except for 3. And I think he said, which will be sent out tomorrow or something along those lines.
Do you want to add that, please?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm kind of asking, is that accurate?
So you suggest like I didn't send them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember you said it.
That's how it reads.
So it reads like, and I'm not sending them out.
Right, I appreciate the.
Which will be sent out tomorrow. Okay, we'll add that phrase right there. Okay,
Under item 10, near the bottom of the page, third line up from the bottom of the page. The Selectman Brinton suggested that the appointment should go to the Parks and Rec Commission members as they go forward. It just doesn't, I would delete the appointment should go to. And then add after Park and Rec Commission members should be appointed. It makes more sense than. Maybe if I actually,
No, I
if
think
I read the order, maybe I did say that, but
I think
maybe it
what-
made more sense in context.
No, but I think that edit makes it easier to read. Yeah.
okay, can you send it to me in a reword?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's gonna be corrected.
I don't have to do with I got at least 2 other ones. We're again,
Am I going backwards or forward?
no, 10, the last, was the third line from the bottom, that end of that section.
Okay,
Motion was made to add the special meeting on the date. I think we were gonna. I'm not sure. Did we create the special meeting then, or did we add the appointment of the Park and Rec Commission and members to the special meeting? No, maybe it was just to have a special meeting then.
right.
The way
That was
it's written,
September
it doesn't-
3rd, yeah, because we were the September 3rd minutes.
All right, then maybe instead of add, just say schedule,
Maybe that's a-
schedule.
To
so-
schedule a special meeting, okay.
Item 13, third line down in the paragraph. Confirmed by first selectman Phil Fitzgerald that the next time there's a town meeting is to note the Board of Finance. I think just delete is to note. For the next time there's a town meeting, the Board of Finance will refer this item.
Okay.
And then, the end of the next line, it says, before going to the town leader, I think probably it says town meeting.
Right, okay. Mhm.
Next one, a little further on the next page, at the first line of the next page. Clarified by Attorney Marino that no specified sum was requested. Just question, is that what was said? Because we're talking about 75,000. Maybe the specified sum was suggested.
Sharon Simpson.
I would disagree with Attorney Marino. I believe he specifically mentioned that amount.
Okay, so I think it's just a typo. I think no is wrong and the word the should be in there. Because later on, we talked about 75,000. So it makes sense, but there's no amount scheduled, and then we talk about 75,000. Those substitute. I can send all of these that we're discussing to you and we can.
Okay, we can postpone these as well and make them necessary.
And then the last one I have is under item 16. I guess you've got the third paragraph down, first sentence. This is regarding the approval of the appeal. Probably should be settlement of the appeal. With the Connecticut Water Authority. The only corrections I have, but I will send them.
So we'll vote to postpone these. Is anybody okay with that?
That's
The September
the
3rd.
third, sure.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the next would be the September 10th. And those are special meeting minutes. Motion to discuss.
Sure.
And Bob?
Also, Joe.
Okay. Any
I
comments?
have one thing that's really minor.
Okay,
If you look at the second line under discussion and possible action on the middle of the first page. Do you see where it says, it starts with Jen Cafasso provided, but in the second line,
okay,
immediate action needed due to the sudden change in staff. I think for people that aren't able to watch the Zoom or attend meetings, I think it'd be better if we said immediate action due to or after the interim director resigned. Just so there's some information to the public.
oh, okay. Response to immediate action needed due to the sudden instead of change of staff,
It could just say needed after the interim director resigned.
response to the immediate action needed due to resignation of interim director.
That sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Is that the only change on that one?
I think that's the only one I have. Yeah.
Okay, so approve as corrective.
Aye.
Yeah, second.
Okay. Okay, so the last set of minutes was, I thought that's the last one, sorry.
No,
There's one more.
The 19th. Oh, the 19th, I'm sorry, you're right.
Move approval of the minutes of September 19th.
Well, are we gonna talk about it?
Yeah.
Second it and then we'll.
Second,
discuss.
and then, yeah.
Okay, I second it for
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on these, Ben?
I don't.
Okay, I think the last line of that first bigger paragraph. Selectman Texera noted she did not have enough time to review all the candidate submissions. I I am requesting clarification on this because it reads like I just didn't feel like doing it and had all the time in the world and didn't. So what happened at the meeting was that, what I noted was that I received the, documents 2 days before, after you've had them since August 1st, and that's what I said, and I'd like the minutes to reflect that. So, Gina noted that the submission to date earlier after holding on to the applicant's letters since August 1st was a disservice.
And do you want to send me the wording?
Oh, sure.
Okay. And then we can postpone these until, the next meeting. Yeah, a motion to postpone.
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
I'll send them to you tonight.
Okay. Okay. All right, that takes care of all of the minutes. We now have Lena, our zoning enforcement officer, is here with a discussion about some technology for the building department.
Good evening, Board of Selectmen. Thank you for having me here tonight to present in regards to internal process of control that is necessary for the land use and building department. I have been working in the department for several years now, streamlining several permitting processes for the town and the public in general. In regards to infrastructures, residential infrastructures, commercial infrastructures, in particular land use regarding to planning and zoning, inland wetlands, and zoning board of appeals. It is important that we are now become part of the 21st century. As we have been processing permits through paper and manually, and I have been streamlining for providing packages now with specific steps, processes, and specifications on how to go about this permitting process. The online system is going to allow us to actually have each record per property made public, not only for an internal process of control in regards to codifications and standardizations, but particularly for the public view in regards to how they are to be permitted and also accesses to the property records. That now they are either come into town to review through paper material, or they are either I've made available through the streamlining of made to SharePoint that I've made available now through scanning of the documents through certain, so real estate agents, engineers, architects are able to view these documentations. The systems will allow them to enter the permits for each individual property and provide us with the site plan uploading. And we, in all these verifications that are to be processed prior to actually full submission into that department. Then to be able to be provided to the different departmental processes, such as if they need to be permitted by inland wetlands, then they have to go through a particular process and a waiting period of what needs to be occurring to then be transferred to planning and zoning if necessary, or ZBA if they need variance, or the same thing occurring with the building departments and inspection processes. The systems also will allow the analytics that we will need regarding to the month-to-month analytics of how many permits are being entered. Now, all this is being done through data entry through Excel only. I have engaged five companies in discussion with them on how these operating systems are, how secure they are in regards to public accesses and privacy of records. Certain documentations are not to be made public, like such as bank statements and information that are much more private to the public. But in general, it's mostly to be able to provide a site plan view, for instance, of what permits are opened and in review of permits that have been closed. I have engaged conversations with Civic Plus, OpenGov, iWork, Cloud Permit, and Go Well. They have different type of costs. I have actually visited the towns that have these operating systems in place. I do have a favor. I already know which one I would probably want to go with. There is also one that Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, particularly the COGS have endorsed. And the pricing is now standard. It's not by population number. And I find it to be a fixed price. It's not variable, and it's a little high in cost for the town. And I'm not asking for much money, but I do need assistance for the department. From all these 5 companies, the one that I've seen, if we go with the one that the COGS have endorsed, you can see in your packet that I have provided to you. These are all the towns that Connecticut has, which is the open-door permitting system. The initial process for this will be not only migration of the entire files that we have. I still have several file cabinets of scanning that is required and is needed for me to be able to have all these files migrated into an operating system. And first I need to add this, prior to my background, my original background is in network engineer. I worked in systems. I worked for Pfizer, and I knew all these security levels and migration of data for scientists across the world. So for me, it was very important to see the security levels, and also it was very important the user friendliness of the system. As we know, we have an aging population here in town, and we have to educate them on how to use technology, how it is current into this world. And I wanted to have the availability to teach them and train them in the case that they are the ones to be able to operate and enter a permit through the system. So user friendliness is very important at this point, on top of security levels. The costs are something that I will have to be proposed to finance and see what the numbers are going to be. My favorite system at this point, other than OpenGov, that is highly endorsed by Connecticut, is iWork. The town of Walcott and East Hartford, and there is another town I'm forgetting right now, are using this. The best part in the presentation I have provided you with how it is initially the view of online. When you go to the online on their website, it provides them with the application, one click of the button, and it provides them with the filling of the application. And then it sends out to the background, the internal control from our end, where it indicates immediately, highlights, said, what's the status of this permit? It's arrived, is an open permit, and it's open for review. What it means from our end is that we go in and we review the permit and see whether or not all applicable documentation and required documentation has been provided initially. And if payment has been provided, all these type of steps that first need to be reviewed before full submission into the department. Once it's fully submitted into the department, then it's get delegated to who is the person to be looking into this, whether it's a town planner, the tax collector, the Department of Public Works, fire marshal, all a building inspector, all these other delegations that will occur for them to sign off and say, this is ready for approval, or this is ready to, or something is missing here, will require more details. So the system will allow us the level of trackability and ensuring actually the functionality and the operation of our department to be more efficient. I do believe that also when we're making these more accessible to the public, the permitting processes, we probably will have much more engagement in permittings. And people have been asking since the beginning about why we do not have online system yet. Of course, there is a budgetary aspect to it, and that's where we have to look at look at when we go to the finance department, financial board of finance to make this proposal. My take on this is that we do need a process of internal control. It is very important for my end to have it streamlined, have improved the department in many ways. There has been a better steps to the process. Paperwork is large, is big. We can make this a lot easier for ourselves and for the public.
Thank you. Your presentation is very professional. I really appreciate it. I think you said this already, but could you repeat? You said a couple of towns that you know of are using the software that you prefer.
Walcott and East Hartford. I visited the planning department, the building and planning departments there. Excellent people there, by the way. It was nice to sit down next to them. And also I do love the fact that it also has an interaction with the finance department, because as you know, we do receive payments, and the reporting towards the finance department also is very important. Now what we do is when we receive payments, we have a check, and then we have to enter and deposit it to the finance department. So the system will allow us to track all these steps that we take within our department.
And so iWork is the one you prefer?
iWork is the one I prefer, other than the OpenGov, which is the most endorsed by Woodbridge is using it as well. Woodbridge uses OpenGov, that they call it Viewpoint. They used to originally call it Viewpoint. But in the towns that are using it, as I said, are the ones that listed in the back is the OpenGov, which is endorsed by the by SCROG and the government.
So you're kind
The
of,
Council of Governments.
you'd be pursuing both of those, or you're only gonna be asking for funding for the,
I believe that iWork is equally as good as OpenGov.
it's
And actually the
significantly less
pricing
expensive.
is also much better. than
Yeah, well, that's-
OpenGov. So I think Board of Finance would like that.
Okay, so that's the one you're leaning towards.
Yes.
Leslie, do you have any?
Yeah, I do have a question for you that I would like you to research before you make the presentation to the Board of Finance.
Yeah,
And that would be the ongoing annual costs for the iWorks.
okay,
That is not part of the proposal,
okay,
because that is equally as important as the initial setup cost.
yes, yes.
And then you
Maybe
mentioned, towards the end, the,
Ongoing annual costs. And is there anything else? I'm sorry, I missed your question.
towards the bottom of the page, you start talking about, $600 per,
Oh,
storage box.
yes.
So would you also need an additional amount to store, to scan existing files, or that's a separate,
So we have gotten to, under department, for the building department, we have gotten to the process now that technically all the building department's files, what we call them for the building officials, permits that go strictly towards the building officials, all those files have been scanned up to this point. The ones that need to be scanned are all the commission's files in the Board of Appeals. So I have about, don't quote me strictly on this one, but I do have about 8 full closets of bankers boxes and several site plans that are in need of scanning. The proposal is I have engaged two companies, of course, it was Atkins, and the other one is File Bank. File Bank came up with an astronomical number, but the implementation will be, they're very professional, and it will be very good to just come in and do it all at once and get it done within a lapse of 1 or 2 years. With Atkins, it will be a much more delayed process. Because it's by banker's box. And what's gonna happen is that I have to fill out these boxes as much as possible to be sent out to them. And then they scan, and then they bring back all the files to me. And I need most of the files to be scanned in order to migrate them into the operating system.
So that's really part of the cost of the project, yes?
Yeah, so if I were to calculate, how many boxes are going to be per $600 each, it definitely will be a high number.
We said eight boxes, or did I hear your number wrong?
No, it will be a high number.
Oh.
It will not be just 8 boxes.
Okay,
No,
I thought you said 8.
no,
Okay, so I mean, if that's something you have to
I
do,
will
you
be
have to.
over 100 boxes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And that's something you have to do to,
Right now. The part that I need to keep in mind is that once all these, for instance, for the building department, once everything got scanned and was completely finished, all these files were scanned. Streamline into our process of permitting process is that once the permits are approved, denied, or however that ends up happening, we do now the scanning internally. So we actually are scanning it and filing back. So that cost is not in the future. If you think of it, this will be one cost, because in the future that will be part of our processing of scanning internally the materials to file it back if necessary. But if the operating system exists, we will not have to scan, because all these materials will be uploaded by the applicant themselves.
yeah, you'll have, when you're implementing, there'll be some people that still come in the office, and you may still have people on that
Right.
computer. You have to have a kiosk or something.
Yeah.
So basically, you have to help people if they're.
There will be a limited amount, hopefully at that point, of walk-ins that we call them.
Do you have a copy of the attachment that's referred to in your letter here?
Those are part.
Oh,
of the
this,
application. All the
okay,
attachments
okay,
are part of the
okay,
package.
thank you.
Yes,
And I was wondering, is this, I'm trying to get used to checking the mailbox in
okay.
the clerk's office. Is this letter there or no?
I provided a letter to both of you as well.
Okay.
I believe I placed it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, if not, I can forward that to you.
No, if I have everything, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get used to checking that mailbox. So,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if it was, thank you.
No problem. I will just really will need the recommendation at some point for this to go towards the Board of Finance.
I'm curious, do you know, Orange, the town of Orange or Woodbridge and who they use?
Same, that's what I've been speaking on,
Okay,
viewpoint, open golf.
Okay.
So
okay.
and if you look into this, in
Uh-huh.
the slideshow that I have
Yeah.
there, all these are the towns that have endorsed, are using that type of
Okay.
system, yes. It's just the cost for a small town like Bethany,
Yeah.
I believe it's gonna be too high. And also the annual cost will be high.
For that
Particular
one.
system. It's a good system. All of them are great systems. I actually, I did like another one that is not endorsed within this, within Connecticut, but you know,
Well, I mean, it sounds like something we have to implement at some point. I guess you should come up with a complete proposal of exactly what you want to do.
so what's gonna happen once we have this into a system? And this is the beauty about it, just to say a specific address here in town, right? With the town hall, right, 40 Peck Road. You are a property here in town, you enter an application through us. All the documentation, past and present, is going to be there. And it's going to be there from beginning to end, and so it's showing what kind of site plans will be there. So instead of you coming to me and say, oh, what is this file for this property? It will be in the system. You can come and search, you as an applicant can search, the owner can search that what is happening with that specific property, in what status they are in the approval process. The comments are provided there by inspection processes, it will alert, is in an inspection process. It would alert if it is in the inland wetlands process, right? And if, for instance, if there is a violation, it will also indicate that I have sent, or the building official has sent, or somebody has sent a violation to this property. So it does have a trackability component that most people want to look at.
Yeah, I just meant,
But it also has accountability, right? Because it will hold me accountable on my process.
I just meant the specific proposal you want to do, which if it's iWork and it's $16,000 is what they're gonna charge, and you need 60,000 to scan. I guess that you should come forward with that specific, this is what I want to do, this is what it will cost. And then we'll refer it to the finance board. I mean, it might be something that has to be done as part of the annual budget process.
So right now, the proposal that I've sent you, and you're right, the proposal that I have provided to you is an initial estimated cost
Okay,
of what they're thinking it will end up being. I did ask for migration processes, and I did ask for the maintenance and
mhm.
in the training that is gonna be required for the use of the technology. I do not know how variable the cost is going to be. There's always a 5% at some point of annual fee when they change into the annual cost of the sometimes increments at 5%. So we have to look into that, yes. And I can, now that I propose this to you, I will engage back with iWorks and ask them for a much more specific proposal to be presented to you and Board of Finance.
So after this is all implemented, I understand if I've applied for a permit, I can go in and check, see what the status is.
Yeah.
If I'm someone who's interested in buying a piece of property or real estate agent or something, the kind of people who usually come into town halls saying, I need to see your building files, I need to see your zoning files. Are they able to do that remotely, or do they still have to come in?
They will be able to do mostly remote. Yeah, so I wish I would be able to, like, if you were to access the town of Walker right now,
Mhm.
and one of the samples properties was somewhere in Main Street, a number of Main Streets, right, of the property. You can look into it, which permits have been closed, which permits are opened, and which permits have been denied. And you can review with the permit number that was assigned to it. The functionality, and the approval, so that is a very good, and it's still very secure. It's a still secure system because the, internal control is secure from our end internally.
Okay.
It's a little, it's a cloud permitting system,
Mhm.
which would not require a network. It's on the cloud. And it's still secure. Is there any more questions?
You want to make have to give it a blessing to send to the Board of Finance?
Well, it sounds like she has to do a little more
Almost.
specific
Okay.
homework.
Okay.
He wants more specific homework on
Okay, I'll come next week.
for the iWorks presentation specifically.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, just. You want all of them?
Well, I think it was,
More
I think he
to-
said, give us your proposal, like, so right now, you
Yeah.
did a great job with summarizing what's available, but I think it would be easier to evaluate if we, if we knew, because here you're saying, your ask is we should have an online permitting system,
Right.
but it doesn't say, here's,
This
this is one, this is what it would cost, this is the
Yeah.
annual. And so I think that, I mean, I agree, I think it would be helpful to have that sort of information.
Sure.
Okay. All right, well, good, thanks, Lynn.
No problem.
Thank you.
You have a good night.
Thank you as well. Okay, you know, I do have, Kathy.
Go ahead.
Okay, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
all right, perfect. So first up would be the tax refunds. We have, oh, we got that.
Yeah.
Okay. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tax refunds noted, and for a total of $1,152.76. Can I have a motion to approve the tax refunds as presented?
So moved.
Can I just ask, so
Sure.
this is the same as other tax refunds we've had in the past where there's an overpayment by the taxpayer?
Right, yeah, because
And
you
the
had
town
asked
had-
for that column to be added.
Right,
and she-
right.
And she put it, so they are all excess payment, refunds.
I was just wondering, how does this happen? It's just like a mistake, people,
Well, sometimes if a bank holds the mortgage or the
Right.
car tax or whatever, it's through the bank, so there's sometimes is an overpayment.
okay,
I think
You know, or if it's a lease
if you sell your
company,
car, right?
yeah,
Yeah, usually when you sell your car.
yeah.
so there's different,
Keep your lease back. Normally pays the property tax.
yeah, so,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Um. So all in favor as presented? Okay. Next we have the, cemetery deeds. We have 4 noted, for approval. We should have the list. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the deeds as presented?
So moved.
Second,
Okay. And we just approve these and then they will be processed by the town clerk's office. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Okay. The tax refunds and okay, next item up is Russell Road. Any updates on Russell Road?
The seller is continuing to try to resolve the title issues.
Okay, have you heard any closure on the solar farm?
No, but when the solar company acquires its new parcel, it'll come to work with our land use commissions.
Okay. Simpson property.
The seller has agreed to remain in contract with the town, and I'm working with Linda Francois and Allison Clark from Deep to try to bring final closure to this transaction. We're hoping to be able to do that within the next 6 months.
Okay. All righty, and now we are to item number 9, which is a placement and location for a Girl Scout Gold Award project. Now, back in 2018, this was a food pantry box, but I think we had some issues with it because people weren't aware of it being there, and so food was spoiling, and I think the box kind of got deteriorated and everything. But I believe Mr. Shea has rebuilt it, correct?
Correct.
And you wish to change it into a like book swap library kind of
Yes.
situation?
Correct.
Okay. Now you are looking for us to find you a location for this,
Yes.
correct?
is the concept like one of those little libraries that you see sometimes?
But yeah, in New Haven, like on a corner, you'll see the people switch
Yeah.
books in and out of it.
It's a great project.
Yeah, yeah. I think the books, we don't hopefully have to worry about them spoiling, so.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a little more, and what we might have to do is maybe advertise once we establish a location for it to give it a little more, you know, action
Sure.
as, because I didn't even know the food thing was up there, so. Any thoughts as to location that would get, I'm asking my selecting people, that would get the action and,
I was curious if you put any thought into that, like location and what you think might work. Have you thought at all about
I
that?
always just thought the recycling center, because there's always food from town going from there, but I'm open to any other suggestions.
and it was outside the center, right? It was next to those other boxes that are there for
Yes.
contributions and things. So, do you feel that that would still be a good location for you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, as long as it has a sign on it or something.
right, and we can kind of advertise for you that it's, you know, new and improved. And now, do you have any books that you originally are going to supply it with, or are you looking for donations for it?
I can put a message out and gather some books to put in there.
Okay.
To start it out.
How many books do you figure it's gonna hold?
It's called the Little Free Library. We actually have several in town.
There's a whole organization.
Yeah.
And they can help you get it started and guide you along.
Okay, all right. So are we all in favor of putting it back up near outside the recycling center?
Sounds great.
All in favor? Or do you have any
I was
questions?
just gonna say, we should probably
Make a
record
motion?
the Girl Scouts name here.
Well, I have it all in the, I actually pulled the, Daniela, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Daniela Olson.
Yes.
Olson, yeah. So, we will certainly talk to Mr. Shea about getting that up there, and once he can confirm that, we will reach out to you and let you know when you can start to. Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you, Sonia.
all right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a like the Eagle Scout thing, it's kind of that same process of going, yeah. Good for you.
Thank
Good for you. Okay, so we will get it back up at the recycling center.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're very
Looking forward to
welcome.
going there and looking at the books.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, the Park and Rec Commission did have their first meeting last week. They did appoint officers. Jen Gaelic is the chair, Dave Pecoraro is the vice chair, and Emily Meredith Stein is their secretary. They do have another meeting tomorrow night to kind of continue business. So they're very enthusiastic. Looking forward to working with them and seeing what we can get accomplished. Bethany Economic Development, actually, they have a member that they are recommending. That was from our advertisement that we had done in the bulletin 2 months in a row for the different boards and commissions that had vacancies. So there is Kyle. There's really no action required. This is an appointment by the Board of Selectmen. Not the board, sorry, the first selectman. So Kyle, I know I'm not going to pronounce this correctly and I apologize, but Wasilewski is a new member to the Economic Development Commission. And actually, the town clerk did hand me some other positions this afternoon that are just first selectman appointments. And he had reached out to these individuals who showed interest in continuing in these capacities. So they are on the Conservation Commission is Ellie Beers-Nork and Shannon Briganti. On the Economic Development Commission, as an alternate remaining is Jamie Sterling. And one of our hearing officers is Carol Goldberg, and she's continuing in that capacity. So we thank them for continuing to serve the town. So that takes care of all of those, notification of those appointments. And we are on hold with this consultant. I think that was just, decided to see how other things move along. So item 13 was, we had mentioned earlier, the recommendation to the Board of Finance regarding the $75,000 request for legal defense beyond the scope of the retainer, which needs to go to approval to the next town meeting. So we need to just make that recommendation to the Board of Finance to bounce back to us to bring to the town meeting. Yes, Sharon, or no?
Why do we have to give it to you again?
So we're just, okay, we bounced things around so many times, we're just recommending it to the town meeting this time. So all in a motion?
Are we having a town meeting?
It would be the next town meeting. I don't know when one is scheduled at this moment. We don't have, it's.
Maybe we'll wait and then have the exact wording in front of us.
Well,
And then,
we can bring that forward. Again, I just want to have it noted that we plan to bring it to a town meeting. So then when we.
Well, we could note it without voting on anything, right?
Right, we're just noting it,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
other than just that we're going to take it to the
Okay.
next town
Yeah.
meeting.
And the other thing is, I don't know, the next town meeting isn't gonna be for quite a while, the number may be revised.
It's
Because
possible.
it's just an estimate at this point. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're going to a town meeting,
Right, but there's not one scheduled at this point, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's some issues on a previous town meeting with getting the wording right.
Mhm.
So we voted on a concept and then different, was wording, we had the other Steve that
Okay, that's fine.
proposed,
Yep, no, that's fine. So we would just hold on this until we have other details. Leslie, for grants?
I'm excited to say the Board of Finance held a workshop meeting last night to develop a grant committee for the town. What we're hoping to do is to get a bunch of like-minded people together that are enthusiastic and energetic, that want to actively research grants and actively pool the town residents as to what their priorities are, what they want to see happen, what they want to see done, so that we can put all of it together, that we have a drawer full of grant projects. So you will be hearing more from us with what we're looking for, So there'll be more to come on that, but I want to put it out there that we are looking to do more in the realm of grants, because they do take a lot of time to research and write, let alone administer once we receive them. I will be happy to give anyone an update on any of the grants listed on the agenda, but there is not much different from last month on any of them. But if you have a specific question on one, I'm happy to answer it.
no, I'm glad, I think the concept to that grant committee, I hope it has a good membership and also tries to reach out. Because I think it's a problem, some of these grants come up with very little notice.
Correct.
And then the town throws a lot of effort into going after something, and then it may be that the townspeople are like, well, you're chasing a grant, but we're not even that interested in the thing that the grant is for. And then we should have, if this was more of a plan, you would have said, there's grants out there all the time, but if the thing that they want to give you money for is not something you want to do, you just don't waste your time and effort.
You
Yeah.
almost have to have a draw with projects ready to go, because what we have
But
found with
projects
these grants.
that are already vetted and it's
Right.
not just like,
That's the goal.
What happens is they give you like 2 weeks notice to apply for something, and then you wait 6 months to hear back. So
Correct.
that's why you need to have projects already in the hopper to be able to move forward.
Yeah, and to your point, Bob, we're looking to be more proactive.
Right.
What does the town want? What does the town need? There is a difference between a need and a want, but if we can pursue grants for various projects that the town is interested in seeing happen, we want to put some effort into that.
Can I add a little bit to that? Sure. That all of the grants that we've been pursuing up until now have essentially been things where, as Paula said, you see something, you get an email from a legislator, you get an email from one of our congressional representatives, and you have almost no time. And so what's happened is we look around, and of course we've had so much infrastructure that needed stuff. It was easy to find things. But what we were finding is every time we went to a town meeting, people will say, well, what about other things? Like what? Well, what about other things? Okay, tell us, and we actually asked once for input and didn't really get it. So this time we're going to try to create kind of a committee to develop what the operating parameters should be for the committee. And then we're going to hope that committee can recruit a different committee, because we think we need to be involved in the beginning, but we'd really like to sort of turn it loose and let it go live on its own, because it doesn't need to be plugged into finance. We don't need to manage it. That makes any sense. So it'll be a while, but if you know anybody who has ideas, if we don't have ideas, we can't look for grants. That's all.
Well, I'm glad to get an update on this. I know we talked about this a little bit months ago before we had the, the debates about what to do with our trash contract and the, the park and rec stuff. So I know we were talking about this before, so I wasn't sure if this was just something that had gone off the charts. So I'm glad to hear that, that we're still talking about it.
We're still talking about
Yeah.
it. We're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to move it from a
Concept.
concept into a reality and something that's like a future item to a let's do it now. So. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Before we go on to item 15, is that where we are?
If they're done with the
Yes.
grants, yes, because then I'm gonna roll away from the table, but I'm gonna watch in case people need to be admitted, to the meeting.
Well, before that, I'd like to make a motion, I make a motion to add to the agenda. An item before item 15, it's labeled item 15. Discussion and possible action, eliminate the position of Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion or?
So you vote on the motion to amend the agenda.
You have to make the motion to adjourn first.
You did,
Yeah.
and now you vote on that.
Okay, so unanimous to amend, okay.
Now you're,
Now you're making the motion again,
Okay, yeah, I guess the
okay.
motion and second, we both voted yes to.
And Jeannie, you're seconding his motion to discussion that.
Motion of discussion, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
You want to vote on it or just?
Yeah. Do you want to discuss, or do you have any discussion?
Well, no, we're just adding it to the agenda, is what we voted, right?
Well, we already amended,
Okay.
we already amended the agenda. So now this is the actual item.
All right, I brought this up at a previous meeting and, because of what's happened, there are no programs. The assistant director's primary duties were be the director of the summer camp and the director before school and after school. And, so there's no work for that position currently. So it doesn't make sense to keep paying someone for a position that there's no work for.
Is there any due process for that?
no, you want to eliminate the position, correct?
Okay, that is.
It's not termination of, it's elimination of the position.
Just like the counselors were all laid off because there's.
Hmm.
nothing for them to do.
One will follow the other,
Okay,
once you eliminate the position.
okay. Any other comments, questions, or whatever? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I will abstain. So it passes with the two selections, so. We'll be doing the petitions, we'll bring the petitions, on that. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna roll away from it. Are we good now? We can go to your item? I'm gonna roll away, but I'm gonna watch the, inbox in case anybody.
I can,
Pops in, so.
All right, switch folders.
Okay.
This is us. So I know the last special meeting, we received these that were lucky to get six proposals. And it's good from. I looked through them and then we looked through them kind of quickly at the last meeting, but I went through them. I have not pulled any references. But in other contexts, I've called reference. I've never gotten a bad reference that's been provided to you by someone.
I actually called, 2 or 3, but didn't get calls back.
Oh,
So-
okay. But usually if you've got any kind of brain at all, if there's somebody who doesn't like you, that doesn't end up in your.
Right.
reference.
Well, I was gonna ask questions about, whether the experience the person had or knows about was related to, issues we have in town and stuff like that, so they weren't gonna get away with just giving, a happy report about everything.
So here's what I came up with, that it's in my.
Oh, wow.
And I took into account, I know there was a follow-up email from one of the firms, Brosnan, that
Yes.
clarified about mileage and their schedule, which they had not.
Yeah, I was happy to see that follow-up because I think we were making assumptions at that last meeting, and we weren't,
Well, their proposal didn't mention time, and it did say they would charge for mileage, which is part of their standard things, but I guess they said and they clarified that although they are out of town, there's out of state, there's at least one investigator is more local.
right,
A
right.
little bit. But what I came up with is I have two firms that are at the top, and depending on how I think about it, they flip back and forth. We have Pullman and Conway. So the lead investigator is the retired state judge, and he is involved in the Stanford teacher sex abuse of a student investigation and the Bridgeport Diocese sex abuse. He's in charge with their investigation practice. I thought their project and understanding and approach was good. I kind of didn't pay that much, we asked for the schedule information, but they're all in the 2 to 4 month range. It's gonna be whatever it is. I don't think one is really gonna do it faster. I did appreciate, they were one of the firms that at least threw out a ballpark estimate of what they were thinking, at least. And, saw their rates. And the second is Robinson and Cole. The lead investigator seems to have a really impressive resume in this area with education and, sexual misconduct, litigation. The price is a little higher though. So those are my two highest. The third one was Browsing Risk. But really, even though the lead investigator is an attorney, it's a security firm, and it's more of a traditional investigator, and mostly former police officers. But it kind of depends on what we're looking for. I know some of the questions that were being asked were really more legal questions, and you wouldn't necessarily have, a retired police officer answering questions on disclosures and what's proper. Those are my top three.
Can I ask what you thought of Dave Pitney?
I didn't see that much like really strong. I mean, it's a big firm, and really their hourly rate was that was one of the factors for me. They're like twice what the other firms are, even with their discount.
I really liked the Dave Pitney proposal, because first of all, I think they had the shortest turnaround time. And I think that interested me in terms of envisioning getting to a point, and I know you're saying 2 to 4 months for all of them, but their proposal was, I believe, the quickest turnaround time, and I just thought that was appealing to me. And they also, I think they're the only ones, and I think before I say anything, I was really impressed with really all 6.
Yeah.
I think
They're all qualified.
yeah, for sure. And the proposals were all really good. People, they took the time to read the posting very carefully. Dave Pitney was the only one, though, from what I could tell, that seemed to have already done some work. For example, there's a statement in their packet that says they have read media reports, and I believe it says something like other documents. And I just thought that was, impressive, that they had already done that level of a deeper dive into what's going on here. I also thought that they just had a really impressive background, and their
summary of investigations that they've done. Actually, when we first started with this, with the very first motion that was made to hire an investigator, I talked to a friend of mine who's an attorney in Connecticut and asked for whether they would be willing to share names of firms or investigators for us to explore. And he said, oh, you should look at the whoever didn't know the name of the firm, but said you should look at whoever did the Cho investigation. So I looked into that, and that's where the woman, the name of the investigator from New York came from, because she was listed as part of that investigation. She didn't respond to our request for letters, but so I looked at the Dave Pitney proposal provides at least 3 reports from previous investigations that you can read and look at, and the Cho one is one of them. And she was listed as someone who had done some part of that investigation, and then the school decided to hire Dave Pitney to do more, after beyond what she was able to do. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting to see that they were the ones that did that investigation. And so I'll tell you, my top 2 were Dave Pitney and Pullman and Conley. I thought just the ease, when a report offers, when a submission like this offers reports, and it's very easy, you almost don't have to call references, right? When they're like, look at my work, this is my understanding of the project, look at the work that we've done. And I think that might be a sign of having an easy relationship and a good working relationship with firms that do that. So I was really impressed with having easy access to past reports. Let me see. Oh, and Pullman, I think they were the only ones who talked about that if we don't already have a litigation hold, that they would, talk to us about implementing that, which I thought was really good. A really good suggestion that they made.
I think with the Dave Pitney, the only thing is, I think they talked about Twardy and his assistant. They're both federal prosecutors, and some of the stuff they talk about is investigating is when they were federal prosecutors. Well, federal prosecutors can have a lot more power and access than they will in this case, so they.
Right,
they have
but
to-
the reports that they gave us with Choate, that's not a federal,
Okay, well,
yeah.
in his
Did you-
thing, I think he says he did that as, well, as co-counsel, rather serving as a prosecutor. But I just.
I don't know, I didn't
that
see
way,
that.
Not that takes away, but
Right,
you'd be in a little bit different, driver's seat this time if he's from the town of Bethany. That's a separate attorney. Well, based on what we're talking about, I'm kind of leaning to Pullman and Conley since it was our first or second choice, and there's gonna be like half the price of Dave Pitney, and I'm not sure that any of the firms are gonna. I'm not sure that Dave Pitney is gonna, for that additional amount, is gonna give you any information. Here on page 7, under the team,
mhm.
the first paragraph under that, while serving as a federal prosecutor, Steve serves as co-counsel in the investigation, prosecution of an alumni of Fairfield, the founded a charitable organization.
Mhm. And what is that? Is that the Cho investigation?
Yeah, I mean, unless the supplemental internal investigation is a different investigation, maybe that was the case. Maybe they hired him as a private attorney after he retired.
Um. I think I was really impressed with the Dave Pitney proposal. I thought they were,
I thought it could be a quick turnaround time. I was very impressed that they've already, and essentially have already started working on this, given their, the reading and media reports that they've read and the articles. I think with Pullman and Conley, I do want to have full disclosure. As a lawyer, I have professional relationships with other lawyers. I don't recognize any of the names. I mean, I do recognize some of the names, but not personally in terms of the work that I've done. But I don't, there's no conflict. I just wanted to tell you that I have personal relationships in that they've been on the other side of my cases or worked very closely with one of the partners on a jury trial that I did last year. But his name is not there, and the lawyers that I've worked with in terms of them being on the opposite side of the case, none of them are listed here either.
Yeah, they're both obviously very qualified things. Like as I said before, I did not put any weight on the schedule because they're all just throwing something out, and one's gonna say 2 months, but I think Brosnan lists said 45 to 60 days, so it could be 6 weeks. But it's all just gonna depend. I mean, if they can't get witnesses to, if witnesses are all lined up and they can all come and, interview them very quickly, but it may be chasing people's schedules and it's gonna
Right.
stretch.
Let me ask you this, though. Assuming, just for the sake of conversation, that Dave Pitney is the best proposal.
Mhm.
Given that the town has already approved $75,000, I think their fee structure would accommodate that.
I don't know.
I mean, I think unless something goes haywire and there's a much larger.
Would have to be a pretty quick investigation. At $800 an hour.
Yeah, I'm,
Otherwise, you just run out of money.
well, I mean, that could happen with
Right.
anyone we choose. I just think that I guess what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I really was impressed with their packet, and I think that, that in terms of their fee structure shouldn't be, a, reason to disqualify them. Given that the town's already approved the money and the town, I would think, would want the best candidate to be hired for the job. And I mean, that's what I would say in terms of, I just feel that they would be, the best, in terms of,
Yeah, I don't think they're bad. I don't know if they're better. I mean, the lead investigator for Robinson and Cole really had a very impressive resume.
absolutely,
You do
yes.
just wonder if they're gonna be, it also mentions that they're involved in litigation around the country. You wonder how much focus you're gonna get. Impressive resume, and work with children's groups and involved in policy making. That all sounded perfect, but I don't know if they're gonna be just overseeing it or really doing all the work. But yeah, it's not that they're there, but I mean, really, like I said, I don't think their 2 months means anything to somebody else's 3 or 4. I think they're all gonna accomplish it in the same amount of time but you're definitely gonna, I mean, if these other 2 that gave us ballparks said 65,000 and they were gonna charge $275 an hour, and the ones that were $400 to $220 an hour, it's gonna be 53,000.
Mhm.
If you go to $800 and $600 an hour, you're gonna be over your 75, assuming they use the same number.
Right, but if you've already started the investigation before you've even been hired, that's a really strong indication that you're committed and that you will be working in a time frame that's probably quicker than some others. I mean, I just was really, really impressed by that. So tell me, I mean, we don't have to have this meeting for hours and hours. I mean, if you feel that,
I'm
you're,
worried about,
okay,
and then whichever firm we decide to go with, they're gonna want to submit a engagement letter and agreement, right?
Mhm.
And then we're gonna have to see what that is, and we'll have to make sure we insert in there that they cannot, it can't exceed $75,000 for written authorization.
Mhm.
Um. So it kind of doesn't help us, because the issue will be if they're going along and they're like, okay, we're about half done and we're stopping work. And then we have to go to the
I mean,
finance board and town meeting
I
and,
mean, I think that's some of these proposals mentioned, keeping us informed and all of that, so I'm not worried about that. I mean,
no, it just adds more delay to the report that people want, if we have to stop. And have it,
exactly, and that's part of the reason why I like Dave Pitney for their proactive response, jumping in, reading things they didn't have to read to submit a proposal, and sort of, beginning the work essentially. Maybe I should worry about the timeline and the 75,000.
Well, yeah, because it's, if they run out, it's gonna,
Right, right.
everything's gonna have to stop.
Right,
Because there is no guarantee that the townspeople will approve another 75 or whatever.
right, right.
They might just say, based on what we've seen so far, you're not really gonna provide any more information than we have, and just, you know what I mean? And so it'll just end or something like that.
Well, we can be optimistic and hope that it could get done, within the guidelines we have so far. So I mean, I just, again, I think all six are good. I feel like as a town, we're very fortunate that we got a good response, and, when I say, that I would go with Dave Pitney, I'm not, at all saying anything, I don't even, about the others. I just, again, feel very fortunate that we have these, options, and I think Dave Pitney is the best. I think that I would want to advocate for the best of the town. But I mean, I don't, I had as my top choices Pullman and Conley and Dave Pitney. So, I mean,
I'm suggesting Pullman Hammonds, like how they, I was worried about the price. I'm not saying that they're bad.
no, and
Definitely
I'm not saying any of them are bad either. And so it's, it was difficult sort of going through and, reading reports, making calls, and just feeling like all six of them were very good reports, So it looks like I'm not gonna be able to convince you to go with Dave Pitney, even though they could be, the costs, we don't really know. They could end up being, if they've already started, it's possible that they could cost us less than the other firms.
You're right.
It's an unknown. So,
You're right. But
yeah.
Pullman and Conley with their $300 and $400 an hour, they could just put more hours in. And
right,
they
absolutely,
double the hours and you're over.
absolutely.
So
It's
one of the
easy to
things I was
do.
mentioning is you're on page, Pullman and Conley, page 2 to 3. Project understanding and approach, they've got, itemized A through I. And what I liked about it was some of the other ones kind of just cut and paste what we gave them.
Yeah,
And this is not what we gave them. They
right.
read through it and they synthesized it. And so like, we understand what they, so when they put it at least into their own words, like we kind of understand what you're looking for. And like that, which required some thought about it rather than just printing out your resume and then some of them just basically regurgitating what we gave them. And
Right.
like, we're gonna give you what you asked for. So that made me
Reading,
think that they must have gotten together and thought about what is this town asking for, what do they need?
right, yeah.
That was impressive to me.
I think, I think, you know, Dave Pitney also has a really good statement about their understanding of the project. I think that when you read the reports, actually, I got this from both Pullman and Conley and Dave Pitney. When you read some of the previous reports that they've written, one thing that I liked and learned about reading them is that, I was, I think, we're not, I speak for myself, I guess, I'm the minority, but, I would say, I think we're not looking for an investigator to tell us what we want to hear, right? We're looking for an investigation that would tell us what happened and give us that information. And reading these reports, it became very clear that the writers are not writing a report that they think the people that hired them want to hear. They're, sometimes very strongly just providing the facts. So, I don't know. I don't think we need to really, I don't know. Again, I would say, that I personally, I would go with Dave Pitney if I were my decision. So I don't know if you feel that because of that, per the doubt, their fee structure, if you think that's disqualifying, then I don't think I'm gonna be able to convince you
Yeah,
otherwise.
and like the project understanding and approach, I think they basically just gave us our same language back.
No.
Which is fine, but it didn't show as much, a lot about it. Now, where did you say that they put in that they have done research? Okay, here on your schedule, based on information currently available. If they would-
It was on page 5 at the very beginning, that they said they reviewed various media reports and articles. And I think that when they said that the town is interested in the community's call for answers, transparency and accountability, I think that's exactly right.
Where is it?
It's sort of at the top of page 5. It's the second, in addition paragraph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We've also used various media reports and articles. I mean, that's not really a lie. If you Google it, you're gonna.
No, I'm just saying they did it. I mean, it takes time to read articles and, listen to,
Yeah.
and then, and the end of that little paragraph, I think that they really, it's a good summary about what we're doing here.
I just think it's expensive. Then basically it's only charged by the hour, so unless they can run twice as fast as the other firms, they're gonna be.
Well, not twice as fast.
$791 is slightly less than twice 400.
Mm. So what do you want to do?
If they pick these items too expensive, so who would you go with next?
As I said earlier, Dave Pitney and Pullman and Conley were my top 2.
Okay, and as I said, Pullman, Conley, and Robinson and Cole go back and forth depending on, how much I read it. Definitely, if somebody said, who's the most qualified lead investigator, I'd go with Robinson and Cole. But I don't, I don't know whether you're just getting, how much you're getting for working on it. And it's in terms of the associates and that will be working on it, they will be putting in really no other time. I don't know that any one firm has better associates versus another.
They would disagree with that.
I'm sure, yeah.
No, I
I
think,
think
yeah.
maybe to come to a consensus, we try with Pullman and Conley, and now we have to get again, maybe you can help us here. How do you see the mechanics of this working?
Well, there needs to be a motion. It needs to be seconded.
That much I knew.
We know that.
Okay.
Once we leave here tonight,
Let's
how
make
how do
sure.
how do we get an agreement? Who's gonna
I think
sign it on behalf of the
either-
town?
either one of you
Mhm.
can take the lead, or you can ask me to reach out to them and for them to present a retainer agreement. And then that would be presented to you at your next meeting, or unless you want to have a special meeting.
I don't, but if that's gonna save a month, I guess we.
Do either of you have any objection to my calling them?
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Or you could have a special meeting via Zoom. You don't necessarily have to have it in person if you're just approving the retainer.
I don't mind coming here for meetings.
Yeah, I mean, it could be,
If it's a scheduling
it
issue.
should be an 8 in the morning thing, or we'll
Exactly.
a little time they open and. Yeah, just a quick, nothing else, just. And it'll be sent to both of us ahead of time, but yeah, what, to please convey to them that the town's only approved 75,000, so. That has to be part of the agreement that we. It doesn't just go over that without letting us know, hopefully in advance. And hopefully not at all, since they ballparked less than.
I think that's what did it for you.
I did appreciate that they did it, and I was like, well, how come only 2 of them did what we asked, but I think in the final draft, we did not put that.
Right, I think that's right. Yeah.
Um,
I'm happy to convey that. I actually think that, all of the submissions had similar timeframes, and I think that is a recognition that this isn't an investigation that should take forever. And so I'm hoping that being under that 75,000 is a reasonable, request.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of the stuff they may be asking the town for information and emails and things. It really depends on how quickly they can get that information and how quickly they can schedule and complete the interviews. Right?
Right.
With town employees, it's probably gonna be easy if they're trying to contact former Park and Rec employees and they're off at college or something.
Right.
It may take a little more time, but of course they can do telephone and other things, but
Zoom.
but there may be some individuals that really in person is, if they're trying to determine credibility and stuff, the in person is better than. All right. Should we make the motion? The selective firm and request a retainer agreement.
A motion to select Pullman and Conley and for me to reach out to them and to request a draft retainer agreement.
So moved.
Vote.
She moved, you seconded.
Oh, I seconded that. All in favor? Aye. Did you vote aye?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Then, I don't think there's anything else for us to do tonight on that item, right?
I'm sorry, I meant to add, I'm so sorry.
Well, we haven't adjourned yet.
Right, okay. I meant to do it so we could bring it. Is that no piece of it's going? You know, I was wondering if I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda. To allow Mr. Friedman to comment on the Sustainable Bethany, the committee, is that what it was called? Recycle. Recycle committee. It's been so long that I can't even remember. So that's
Making a motion.
my motion
To amend again.
to amend the agenda to add,
Okay.
to add.
Sure, I'll second.
Okay. And that's to amend, all in favor?
I,
Okay, and then the item is to allow Mr. Frieden to,
to talk about the,
Solid waste.
This-
Creating that solid waste and recycling.
solid waste and recycling.
you're making that motion to the, and Bob, second?
Yeah, didn't we do that? or-
Well, no, we amended, now we're
Oh,
allowing
okay.
him to.
Okay, so this came up on the board of selectmen meetings on February 6th, June 4th, to, create or reactivate the solid waste committee.
Mhm.
It was put on hold until, the recycle center was handled, that was handled in June. So there's a whole bunch of data which is available, both from at the recycle center and finance, which they've, gratefully provided to me. Members of Sustainable Bethany and others in the community went through this data, did a deep dive. And here's what we found. Our residents are making a lot of effort to go to the recycle center and separate recyclables. On average, about 1,000 cars a week go to the recycle center, which is half a household every week. We are paying more for commingled plastic than if we just threw it away. We are paying more for paper than if we just threw it away. We are getting nothing or close to nothing for cardboard and scrap metal, even though they have a lot of value. We're getting nothing for glass, even though it has retail value. We do not have a contract with the group that services the recycle center, and they set the prices we pay, and we pay them. For both commingled and paper, they've been increasing them 10% per year, even though that's not what the market is demanding. Observations that have been made is approximately a third of the vehicles that go to the recycle center don't have a resident sticker. They may be residents, but they don't have a sticker shown. Prior to 2016, when we were getting paid for our recyclables, it made sense to let them do it because we would get paid for it. Now it makes no sense. We're paying for somebody else's recyclables. The attendants are supposed to be collecting payments for tires and Freon containing appliances and give that money to the finance department. But if you look at the revenues that we've gotten in versus how much we spent for that, there's a big gap. So we're not actually collecting all the money that we should be collecting. This is something the town needs to address. I propose 2 immediate actions. The first is to generate a proposal for vendors who want to service the recycle center and put that out to bid. Doing a handshake agreement is not sufficient. Second, we should form a solid waste and recycle committee that has the goal and responsibility to develop a strategic and tactical plan on the town's waste handling processes. A plan which is both financially and environmentally responsible. I also propose that we don't do anything until we have that strategic plan in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
So would you be willing to be on the committee if it were formed?
If the goal is to develop a strategic plan, yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. And I think I'm gonna have to look, at the town code, I think had something on solid waste in the past, which probably needs some updating, which you'd like to help me look into that and do updating on that as well. Okay. The town code has, there's something in there on solid waste management and stuff in the town code, and the town,
I think it's still from when we were trying to control where private haulers went.
mhm. Yeah,
So it's
there's-
a little older.
We do have the town code review committee, so that's, you know, I'm sure gonna be on the list for.
Yeah, we had gotten in trouble with the Superfund sites, so we're. Cause people would pick up trash and the town didn't really control it, they brought it to Beacon Falls and Naugatuck, and we had to pay for the, in terms of those settlements in those cases, so I think that then the town was trying to, with our ordinances, but we don't enforce that as far as I know, right? People will have to come in and get permission on where they take the trash out of town. So like I said, the ordinance all talks about all this. You have to come to town and we tell you where you take your trash, but nobody does it. Yeah, definitely needs to be updated.
Conversation with some of the organizations like CCM, costs and that, you know, the town, the state looking into how do they manage all the haulers and things like that, and then having them registered and that kind of stuff, so.
So
Trash is a hot topic.
it used to be.
Still is.
So I don't see a downside. I actually, as a town resident, am really appalled to hear about some of the stuff that's happening. And I think most people probably don't know about like the inefficiencies, the environmental issues, the lack of, I guess, follow through with what we should be doing in terms of collecting those fees. I don't see a downside unless I'm missing something. I don't see a downside in having a committee like this.
It needs to be, no, I'm saying the committee does need to be reactivated.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think I tried to talk about this in like January, February, and you weren't in support of it. So I'm
I
glad.
think, well, at that point, we were waiting to see what happened with the town budget and the recycling and that kind of stuff. That's why we were holding on to see what avenue it was going to take with approval with the town budget. But if we were going to do a single stream, if that was any part of
Right. And I remember that was sort of your excuse at the time, but again, there is no drawback to having a committee talk to us about doing this research that in part has already been done and talking to us about good practices for a town, for the environment. I just don't see, even in hindsight, why we have this huge delay. So, I mean, I would move to have the committee established.
I will look at the past to see how many people were on the committee of the town. No.
Yeah, that's what you said in January.
No,
Do you want to second my motion to have this committee?
Do we need to? I mean, we need to appoint people, but,
I mean, the reason why I'm trying to make a motion is that this has been discussed since at least January, and I've only been on this board since December. And there's been a lot of delay. I don't understand the delay. I don't see any downside at all in having a commission talk to us
I just
about.
want to double check the town code to see if there's a set number of members to it.
Okay.
If there's
Well,
a
no,
set
what-
term and that
okay.
kind of thing, so that we can post for it and people
Okay.
can, just like I did with the other boards and
Right.
commissions.
yeah. So if you feel it's necessary to have a motion.
I
to-
do feel
Yeah,
it's necessary, yes,
That's fine.
because I've been hearing this.
Yeah, I thought it
already,
was just a
so-
consensus, but either way.
Right,
it's
so, but without a motion, nothing's gonna happen because this is what we talked about in January.
Okay, so
And I feel like I want to apologize because this was on my radar and then other things in town got me thinking about other things. But this is important, right? It's important. And I just don't see, I think it's a great benefit to the town. And we're lucky that people in town know a lot about environmental
all right, so you
issues.
made the motion, you seconded,
Yeah.
and to reestablish the solid waste.
Seek members
Yeah.
and.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay.
So how soon can something go out? Would it
I'll
be?
start tomorrow morning when I come in. I will start to research it. If there are any requirements, in the town code as far as number of people that can be on it. See what it has, because like I said, I think that town code needs to be, as do a lot of the town codes need to be updated. Which we've been working on. That's why I established the town code review committee.
When's the next bulletin coming out? Because I'm thinking that would be,
The October one just came
Okay.
out, so would not be till the end of October.
okay, so in that.
But we can certainly post it on Facebook, we can
Okay.
post it on the town website.
Okay,
We can get, word out somehow with regard to,
That would be great. And
Yeah.
so in the bulletin also. for
yeah.
People
it
who
would go-
aren't on
yeah,
Facebook.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not on Facebook a lot and sometimes I hear stuff and it's just,
Yeah, no,
so it'll be on the town
we'll
Facebook page.
do it on the town website, the town Facebook
Okay.
page, and then obviously, depending on the response, we'll continue to also put it into the next bulletin issue.
Okay,
And maybe at that point, Eric, you can give me a little write-up to go along with it. He's nodding yes back there, so we can.
oh, great, that's great.
Yeah, so we can have the parameters of the committee and stuff. So Eric, I'm in tomorrow morning if you want to touch base with me. Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Not on the agenda, so I'm not gonna ask for any action, or just, we got
Oh.
these letters about wetlands.
Yeah.
Gonna talk about that at a future meeting.
I think Don is working with Lena on that a bit, and Vin was here, unfortunately he left, so I think he's following up with Chris Sullivan on that, so I don't have any other information on that right now, yeah, absolutely.
And then,
So could that be on the agenda for next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Cause,
yeah, even if
Bob,
it's
I was
just,
gonna
even if
mention
it's
that
just a
too.
report that it's always out.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
And then being, we're gonna send something today by email, maybe it's for future, something about what kind of like deeds for discontinuance of those roads that approved.
Oh, I have those for signature here.
Oh, okay,
Those don't require action, because those were approved at the town meeting, they just require
I was
signature.
just asking
Yep.
what if anything we're supposed to do?
Yeah, no, I have those, so those just require signatures.
Okay.
So those, yeah, those don't need any action at all.
Now I think we're ready for item 16 or whatever. it's
Well, I
gonna be.
think it might be 17 or 18 at this point, I have to check my numbers, but, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. It's on for the rest of the evening.